5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Okay, welcome. From one coast to the other, we'll travel today as we go up the beach a little bit, where we'll catch up with Doug Martin. Coach will be with us later on. Looking forward to talking ball with Doug Martin on the show today. Patrick Johnson here with you. Philip the Rep Pilkington is also here. Pilk, I've got something for you, and I've known you now, 2 or 3 years? We worked together every day for the last year. Was it 4 years? Okay.
Yeah, fall of 2020.
Okay. And then we have worked together on this show for the better part of the last year.
Yeah.
So I feel like I know you fairly well.
I'd say so.
And, I'm a Pilk guy. So when I heard you called this last night, I just didn't know how to react to it. Anyway, here it is.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
I mean, I don't think you're garbage. I need to stick to sports I know.
Well, thank you for not calling me garbage, Patrick.
There's nothing worse on this planet than calling someone trash. That'll get you a knuckle sandwich, Joe, in some jurisdictions.
It will. We'll both have called the other one garbage, I guess. There was the comedian that was at Trump's rally that called
Well,
Puerto
that was
Rico.
the comedian talking about, doing a roast joke about, certain people or something.
I know.
And this guy just said half the country's garbage.
Yeah, I know, the stick to sports thing, but I will say that some non-biased political analysts have said that where that side is messing up is they're calling anyone who's considering voting for Trump garbage. They've done it multiple times, said they were crazy. It's like, well, that's not a good political strategy to win over undecided voters, whether you agree with whatever side or not. But if you can't attack undecided voters in this close of an election, that's kind of the tough thing they're doing here.
So the other thing, speaking of Trump, he's in Rocky Mount this afternoon, and his plane is landed at the airport, from what I understand.
I wonder if Charlie Kirk carpooled with him. Charlie Kirk is on campus today.
Later on, he and Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, well, they're speaking later, but they're set up on campus. They set up at noon, so I think they're
I'm
in
not
between
interested
right
in Charlie
now.
Kirk. I'm more interested in Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
Va 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 voom.
That's our coast-to-coast coverage right there. We're on the East Coast. She's from Hawaii. There's our true coast-to-coast coverage there.
I remember a few years ago that CBS, I don't think it was 60 Minutes. I actually think it was their CBS Sunday Morning, which used to be, for my money, the best show on television. Used to be. It's gotten infiltrated with politics like everything else on network news. And they did a feature on her. And, she was a Democrat at the time, so it was kind of a friendly feature. But I was very impressed with her then. But it also showed her surfing, so I was even more impressed with that. There's your sports tie-in. She's a surfer.
There you go.
So some house cleaning items here. Tomorrow I will be out. Pilk will be in hosting the program tomorrow, and it's at 4 o'clock because of the Logan Zone at 5. And we also is Dom set up with you? Or are you going to have Dom with you on the show?
I think we're going to lose.
Yes, he does think we're going to lose the 4 o'clock hour because the P-Man won't be on it. It will be a loss, and that's what Dom's referring to there. And so it's going to be me with Dom producing, and then we'll have a special guest giving us an update from Macon or Warner Robins, Georgia, wherever the heck he is now. Scott Rogers will come on as our special guest since it'll be his first time being on since leaving Greenville to give us an update on him, and might talk a little World Series with the baseball man himself.
Last week or last night, I will say this. The fan reaching over on the foul ball, they didn't even reach over. Grabbing the arm and the glove, and that's garbage. That's a garbage move right there. That guy got promptly ejected.
Yeah, it is. but this is no different than what you should expect from Yankees fans. Remember when A-Rod slapped the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's glove, and they had to have NYPD down there with riot shields like posted up near where the grounds crew guys are supposed to be, like kick the grounds crew out, and we're just like, okay, we're putting cops down here with riot shields because Yankee fans are crazy.
Well, I just want you to know, Philip the Ref Pilkington, that I still don't think this thing goes. The reverse sweep does not happen. I don't foresee it occurring. Last night was just one of those nights. The Yankees probably threw their best, the guy they probably should have thrown earlier in the series last night, or at least the first game back in New York last night. Mike Schwartz on 99.9 The Fan yesterday. Here's an excerpt of that, saying that this year's mode is consistency.
I think consistency is key for us this season. I thought we were in a place to get close to turning the corner last year. In year two, we're right there in the upper third to middle of the pack late in the season. We win 3 games in a row late in the season, and then we hit a skid and we lose 5 in a row. And then we kind of pick ourselves up going into the conference tournament, but consistency is the key. And that's where it's going to, that's where it's going to fall this season.
All right. So Mike Schwartz on 99.9 The Fan. Yesterday, we have the complete interview from the folks from The Fan in Raleigh on our social media. So you can check it out there. We're going to have Doug Martin coming up in just a little bit. So no ECU-related sports this weekend. I will say that there is a women's soccer game tomorrow at 7 at Johnson Stadium, and it'll be the final home game in the regular season for Maeve English and the Pirates. Of course, Maeve, excellent player at D.H. Conley, who was essentially a walk-on onto the ECU team, was the 5th-string goalie. And I think it was Catherine Jennings, maybe. I'm probably calling her last name wrong. But a really great little article on ECUPirates.com that was, Catherine Jenkins, not Jennings. Catherine Jenkins wrote a really great kind of feature at ECUPirates.com on Maeve. So you can check that out at ECUPirates.com.
Former IBX media intern.
She was on the news side. She didn't want to have anything to do with the sports side.
She was not on the sports side. Now all she wants to do is the sports side. Like, she's over there working for Malcolm.
I have a feeling she didn't want to work.
Yeah,
I have a feeling she didn't want to work with me. That's the vibe I always got. Is that she didn't want to. Because then the sports situation was just me. We didn't have 800 people employed in the sports. It was just me and B-Baby Ben.
I think that's a shot at B-Baby. I think she.
No, it's not.
No, not from you. Not from you. Is this Catherine not wanting to work with the P-Man, or is this Catherine not wanting to work with B-Baby? Because we know the interns are more interns to the producer than to the talent.
Yeah, that's true.
Just to let you guys know, if you want to intern here, you got to earn being able to talk to the talent.
Right. Well, I have a very simple rule with the interns. They are not to talk to me.
I think Nick has gotten like the special.
Nicky
the Bull is different because it's Joe's brother. He's like grandfathered in.
Maybe so. Yeah. I'm a little bit of a Nicky the Bull mark, so I believe in Nicky the Bull. Plus, he's very quick to respond if I ask him something. Very quick. So I like that. So no Pirate sports this weekend. Of course, as we mentioned, soccer tomorrow. Check that out. Of course, there'll be the Purple Gold World Series going on Friday and Saturday also out at Clark LeClaire Stadium. And, of course, Monday, no Inside Pirate Athletics from the from Tiebreakers, but we will have basketball that night. 6:30 airtime for the network and 7 o'clock tip with Darren Vaught for Pirate basketball. Pilk, are we doing a full-fledged 90 minutes? We are, from what that's the last we talked about. We agreed to that during the weeknights. We were going to bridge it up until.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
the meeting on the show for Monday's show, I think we send William with the gear that we would send him to Tiebreakers out to the arena and I'll do most of the show from the arena, perhaps courtside,
Okay.
leading up to the point I need to break away to start the pregame TV stuff we got to do.
Yeah, I had already planned on sending William to the game. I'm going to be back here producing. We're letting Dom and Isaac have the night off because they have a remote on a Monday morning. Don't know how that got scheduled. So we're giving those guys the night off. They've got a long week ahead, 2 remotes, late night football game. So William's already going to be at the arena. So we will coordinate with William. I will see him tonight, and I will confirm that he can do that. And then I guess I will take over whenever the P-Man has to.
At a certain point.
TV.
At a certain point, you'll take over and fill the void.
Sounds good.
So I think that's how we'll do that.
Works for
Now,
me.
that'll change, I'm sure, a gazillion times, but that's how we'll do it. It makes no sense to go away for 30 minutes to whatever Fox is wearing now, Stinky Dupont and the razor blade or whatever they put on now.
I don't even know what's on at 6. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, they used to be cups of Joe with a shot of whiskey or something.
Two pros and a cup of Joe, I think, is what it used to be.
That was the morning show.
Oh, that was the morning. See, I don't even know. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I just listen to WNCT on the way home. I just get my little 80s hits and more in jam, and I'm good to go.
Look at you.
I don't know. It's
Company
just
man.
It's bad. 6. I don't know, man. The 6 o'clock hour.
Slamming the station, Pilk. I didn't say it was bad.
Fox.
We just didn't say we didn't know.
I know. But no, it's Fox's. Like, their daytime stuff is really good.
Oh, the daytime Fox lineup is probably the best lineup in sports radio, right?
Oh, for sure. And I love listening to, obviously I like having Gold on, but then, with Dan Patrick, I enjoy the Dan Patrick show a lot. But, yeah, once we kind of get into the evening stuff, I'm just going to go over to the 80 hits and more. So,
you know what you should suggest? You should suggest we put the Herd on at 6. We re-air the Herd at 6.
I'll talk to the powers that be. But I
Say,
can already tell you the answer. The answer of Dr. No will be?
No.
There you go.
No, it might not be because that runs in 3-hour blocks.
Yeah.
And so, because it's, what they do on the network, a little behind the scenes here for those of you in Radio Land that maybe are wondering how this works. Well, a lot of these syndicated shows obviously run in their time slot. So let's say it's the time slot of Dan Patrick is 9 until noon. So that's first run. It runs from 9 a.m. Eastern to noon time Eastern. First run live. But then on their satellite channel, at least this is what they used to do back in the day. I presume they still do this. On the satellite that is designated for Dan Patrick's program, it refeeds the loop in 3-hour blocks throughout the day. So if somebody, and Patrick is not a great example of this, but because I don't know how much he's being preempted per se, but he's on in that time slot where he gets aired first run. But it happens a lot in talk, where if a show were, running the same time as Limbaugh or Hannity, Limbaugh back in the day, Hannity now, but a station wanted to take it, they would get it on the re-air later on. Well, Lenore County came out in there with me. Re-air. Some big announcements coming next week, some cool things to share, so we'll have those for you at that time. I'll be back in Friday. That's the upshot of all this as well. So Chris Hughes from Carolina Preps will be with us, and Joey Football Sampson will be in the house.
I'm always looking forward to Joey Football, but I like our annual visit with Chris Hughes going into the final week.
Yes.
It's big, especially now that I'm calling Washington and they're right on the cusp. I need to know what they need to do to get the Pam
You'll find
pack
out
in.
Friday.
Yeah.
You'll find out Friday with Hughes.
Exactly. Yeah, he's very insightful. And, I have to say, he's like, we always reference Joey brackets during basketball season. Well, he gets it right like 80% of the time. Chris Hughes is like 99.99. He's like the Cowboy Joe West in his call percentage on getting this stuff right. That's how good Chris Hughes is.
Well, yeah, Cowboy Joe got it right most of the time. He was just a little too flamboyant for some. But Hughes is no Angel Hernandez.
Why would you even put those two in the same sentence? Hughes gets stuff right. Angel Hernandez,
Well, I was just drawing the parallel to baseball.
But my grandma could go out there and umpire a game better than
Stevie
Angel
Wonder.
Hernandez. Yeah,
could umpire a game
with Helen Keller and Ray Charles out on the bases. Yeah.
All right. We have Coach?
No, Coach is not signed on yet.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out during the break. A timeout. We'll come back and roll on here on this Wednesday Patrick Johnson Show. Great to have you with us here. 94.3 The Game over the air. 94.3 The Game online. And you can take us anywhere with you on your telephone device, your tablet, your iPad, with the IBX Media app. It's free for download from Google Play and the App Store. Patrick Johnson Show here on this Wednesday. We'll link up with Coach right after this.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
We have you covered with all the ECU news and beyond that you need for the drive home. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, Doug Martin with us here on the PJ Show. He's been good enough to give us some of his time on Wednesdays now for the last few seasons. And Coach joins us here. Doug, how are you?
I'm good. How about you guys today?
We're doing great. We're doing real
Good.
well. Let's talk some Pirates here. Winning in homecoming, 56-34, a 29-point third quarter. Just on the whole, what'd you think of that outing?
Well, I mean, it's great to get a win, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing, and I don't think you could give enough credit to the interim head coach. Coach Harold did a great job. That's a tough situation to be in, to take over a team as a interim head coach and get everybody moving in the right direction. Obviously Temple is a really bad football team. But East Carolina did what you're supposed to do when you play a bad football team. They beat them, and they beat them handedly. And so hopefully that'll give them a little bit more momentum to move this thing forward. And it'll be interesting to see, how Coach Harrell can finish the season out.
What'd you think of John David Baker? He moved down from the booth to the sideline. Now, Blake Harrell did that, but that's kind of makes sense as he's the interim and acting head coach. Still called the defense from there. But the OC decided to move down. So before we get into the mechanics of that, what did you think of the game that John David Baker called and what he presented that Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it was really the same offense they've been running. It's still the RPOs, and they just got deep balls that they were able to throw over Temple's heads. And, again, give East Carolina credit for executing that, but you're playing a really bad defensive football team too. I mean, guys are running wide open there. As far as the play caller being on the sideline, I think that's really changed, Patrick. When you look at the NFL, most offensive coordinators call the game from the sideline. And the reason they do that is because of the technology that's available now. They have the iPads on the sideline where you can watch the video of the play before. So, used to when you didn't have that in college, you wanted to be in the press box. So you get a great view at everything and you know what's going on. That's not as important now because you do have that technology on the sideline where you can actually go back and watch the previous series, while your defense is on the field and you know what the defense is presenting you. So it's a lot easier to call the game from the sideline now. Plus, you have more interaction directly with the quarterback and with the offensive players if you're down on the field. You still have to have somebody in the press box helping you out with, down and distances and the tendencies that the defense is showing and those type of things. But it's a lot easier from the field at this point.
So are you on the field for the UFL?
I was not on the field for the UFL,
Okay.
but and the UFL is a little bit different because you only have 6 full-time coaches, so
Okay.
it's a little bit different. You don't have somebody up in the press box that can really help you, or down the field that can really help you. So you're really limited coaching staff numbers-wise. When I called it in college, East Carolina, I was in the press box. Everywhere else that I called it after that, I was actually on the field.
Which do you prefer?
Having done it for so long now, I'd really prefer to be on the field. I like that because, I have direct access to the quarterback. I can look him in the eyes and I can kind of see, this guy's struggling. I need to help him out, or, he's confident, he's playing well. Plus, you can, talk to different receivers, the offensive line. You have access to everybody. So I kind of like that better. Obviously, you don't see things as well from the field as you do the press box, but the trade-off, again, is the technology is available now and direct access to the players.
When before we get into quarterback play, and there was something I sent you a tweet, and I wanted to get your take on it because it plays into a lot of stuff that you've been talking about forever. But let's talk about Katin Houser's performance. It was his second start, third time we've seen him here in the last 3 games. He, of course, played against Norfolk State earlier in the year. What did you think of his play?
Yeah, again, very productive, right? He hit the open receivers. He didn't turn the ball over a lot. I think they had, one interception maybe or something like that. But
he got credited with 2, but 1 he was hit on.
Right. So, better. I just still – I think – the RPO offense in general, and nothing against guys that run that offense, everything, but I think you're going to start to see people really get away from it. It's just not being as effective as what it used to be. There's not enough diversity. It's hard to make the offensive line better. It's hard to help them. There's a lot of things that are starting to evolve away from it now, and that's how football is. Football changes, and it always goes back. Historically, you watch it always go back. You're going to start to see more option teams. You're going to see more two-back teams coming in college football over the next years. You're probably going to see the quarterback playing from under center more than what you're seeing right now and lately. All those things will start to change and evolve.
Doug Martin joining us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. It's great to have him on with us as we talk football. For the Pirates, obviously you're looking at a situation with ECU where you're 4-4, you're 2-2. You still have quite a bit to play for. Probably a distant shot to get into the championship game of the conference, but you're certainly in the play for a bowl game and that opportunity. So, Coach, when you look at having this open week, then you come back and you have successive Thursdays, how does the schedule, because it gets a little wonky in November, and you add to that guys are banged up, guys are tired, it's late in the year. How do you navigate November as a football program?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on injuries. They have an open date this week, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that to me is a negative. Coming off a game like that they just played, I'd like to be playing again because you got a little momentum going now. You got things rolling a little bit. So I think that's a little bit of a negative for them. But the schedule sets up really well for East Carolina. We've talked about that all year, Patrick. You're not playing any power conference teams this year. You got a lot of games that are winnable. I mean, now they've overcome a lot. The offensive struggles all year and coaching change. There's been a lot of struggles there. So for them to get to a bowl game would be huge. It'd be a great step for the program. It'd be a great way to end the season for those seniors. And they got a great opportunity to make that happen. I think there's definitely some winnable games. There's tough ones coming too, but they got winnable games coming.
Let's talk some quarterbacks here. Sam Block, who is with ESPN. I don't think he's anybody. Well, he's got a fair amount of followers. Anyway, Anthony Richardson. All these guys are 26 or younger. Richardson's 22. Bryce Young, 23. Trey Lance, 24. Justin Fields, 25. Will Levis, 25. Zach Wilson, 25. Mac Jones, 26. Kenny Pickett, 26. All benched. The NFL has a QB development problem. It goes beyond the NFL, though, doesn't it?
It does. It's really in college football and even all the way down into high school football now. That's the reason the USFL and the UFL were invented, Patrick, was because the NFL was struggling to find quarterbacks that had been developed enough to be effective in professional football. And it's becoming even more and more prevalent now. Those names you just rolled off right there, more than half of those guys came from one of the RPO offenses where they're always in the shotgun. There's no real reads. They're just reading one defender and whether to hand it off or throw it. And, so when they get to the NFL, they've not played from under center. They've never had to read coverages. They've never had to progression read off receivers. There's just a lot of fundamentals that they really lack. And that's why you're seeing that list right there. And that's why you see even this year in college football, and I kind of looked at quarterbacks this year like you asked me to. It's really a weak year for college football for college quarterbacks coming out to be NFL prospects. You had some great ones last year, like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, right, and those guys that are really playing well. But you look at even those guys, they were asked to read coverages and the passing games that they were involved with. They're having to do a lot more than just sit back in the shotgun all day. Because in the NFL, you can't live in the shotgun and be a four wide out offense all the time. Your offensive tackles, you're asking too much of them to have that open edge and that open edge rusher on a tackle in the NFL. You'll see it at times, and teams that have mobile quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes can do it a little bit more. But when you have Joe Burrows and guys like that are great quarterbacks, you got to be able to protect those guys. And that's where these quarterbacks are lacking those fundamentals.
When you look at all of those guys we just named, again, all taken in high draft pick situations, Young most infamously number one overall. What is the redemption opportunity for them? Because obviously they've been exposed to this level now, the NFL. So where does the onus fall on them being able to adapt and get the learning curve up to speed? I mean, or these guys just will never hear from them again?
Yeah, the biggest is, get somewhere where they can learn and have some time to develop. Minnesota is a great example right now. That's Sam Darnold, right, who's playing really well, and Minnesota's having a great year. The Vikings, well, I mean, he was washed up a year ago, 2 years ago, but he got somewhere where he got to be a backup quarterback for a couple of years. He got to learn, he got to develop some skills, and now he's playing really well and kind of what people thought he could be. So that's what has to happen for these guys, and it's an accuracy thing. It's anticipating throws. You can't in that league. Defenses are so good. The windows, I can't tell you, and even in the USFL and UFL, those windows are so small the quarterback has got to be accurate throwing the football. If you're just inches off, that ball's intercepted or it's knocked down or something bad happens, So accuracy and being on time and anticipating throws is where most of those guys really lack consistency.
Coach, let me ask you this. You had that quarterback list. You did that homework. So
absolutely.
Who out of these guys, I'll tell you what, let's do a break. We'll come back and talk about that. And then I want to talk to you about the playoff as well. So Doug Martin's going to hang with us here. Pilk with a 94.3 The Game Sports Update and Pirate Report. Pilk will be hosting tomorrow as I'll be out. Pilk, take it away.
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in college athletics, earlier today, Brett McMurphy put out a tweet that gave some clarity to the college football playoff. He said, due to existing bowl contracts, regardless of seedings, the SEC champ will play their quarterfinal game at the Sugar Bowl. The Big Ten champ will be at the Rose Bowl. The ACC will be at the Peach Bowl, and the Big 12 will be at the Fiesta Bowl. Jordan Love did not practice today. He left Sunday's game against Jacksonville early, and he was spotted on a stationary bike today. The Packers host the Lions on Sunday at 4:25. The Jets put Greg the Leg Zuerlein on IR today and signed a pair of kickers to the practice squad, those being Spencer Schrader and Riley Patterson. Late yesterday, right after we went off the air, the Vikings added to their depth as they added left tackle Cam Robinson in a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Vikings also accumulated a 7th-round pick. They sent a conditional pick to Jacksonville that currently sits as a 5th, but could become a 4th based on Robinson's performance. Tonight in sports, the 1-2 Hornets will be at home hosting the 1-2 Raptors at 7, and at 8, Jack Flaherty and Garrett Cole will do battle in Game 5 as the Yankees try and push the World Series back to the land of angels. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show, and we'll be back with more with Doug Martin on the other side of this timeout.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color.
and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm very ready. Okay, ready?
You ready? Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
Doug Martin, long time college football coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, and he joins us here on the Patrick Johnson Show, which is always a treat for me. It's the big segment we get the most reaction to all week is when Coach Martin is on here. All right, Doug, let me ask you about the current quarterback class. How ready is the class to be professionals? Collectively.
Yeah, I tell you, Patrick. Yeah, I looked at a lot of different, teams and kids, and this is not a really strong group. As far as guys are going to go impact the NFL, like I said, Caleb Williams and Jalen Daniels, and those guys are doing right now. Bo Nix. Those guys, I don't see anybody like that here. But my top guys, I would tell you, Cam Ward at Miami. Obviously he's been phenomenal at Miami. But here's an impressive thing about him. He started at Incarnate Word and was exceptional. He went to Washington State. He was exceptional. Now he's at Miami. He's exceptional. So he's learned 3 different offensive systems and been great at all 3. He's got great presence in the pocket. He's really accurate throwing the ball. There's a learning curve for him that, he's going to have to learn how to play under center and things like that. But, he's done it at 3 places. That's pretty impressive. Shedeur Sanders
before you
is
go
the
on,
next one.
hang on, Doug, before you go on, let me ask you something about that.
Yep.
Ward.
All right.
So hold it there. With Ward, if you're drafting him and you look at, okay, he's done this, this, and this at 3 very different places, but he has excelled. Even though there are the questions about the things you're talking about, got to play under center and there's a learning. Do you feel a little better about that as at the professional level than maybe any of these others that, have maybe been at the same place 2 or 3 years?
I do, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you've watched other guys like, Sam Hartman played great at Wake Forest. He went to Notre Dame and looked really average. Riley Leonard, same thing. He played great at Duke. He went to Notre Dame, looks really average. DJU was playing really good at Oregon State, goes to Florida State, doesn't look the same. So, yeah, that's definitely a plus for Cam Ward for sure.
All right. Shedeur Sanders, pick it up there, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Shedeur Sanders is a lot like Cam Ward. He's got great pocket presence. He is really accurate throwing the ball. He can extend plays with his legs. Obviously, his dad, he's been raised around football. He's probably been some around the best quarterback coaches in the country, and you can tell. I mean, he's really well polished. Now, there's still going to be, a little bit of a learning curve with him too, but I mean, he really does some productive things. Really good deep ball thrower, and again, he's got some toughness to him too because they don't protect very well. And he's managed to stay healthy and hasn't missed a game. And he's taken a beating over the last 2 years.
All right. Who else stands out in this group?
So here's one that most people won't think about, Patrick, but I really like. It's Tyler Shough, I think is how you pronounce his last name, from Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, he has got great anticipation of throws. I mean, he gets the ball out early. And Jeff Brom is a great quarterback coach, the head coach at Louisville. He does a fantastic job, always has, of developing guys. But, this guy's a little bit more probably pro-ready maybe than some of these other guys, although I'd love to see him be a backup a year or two and then play. But he's checking plays at the line of scrimmage. He's changing protections at the line of scrimmage right now. And like I say, the accuracy is probably a little bit better than some of the other guys. So I think he has a tremendous amount of upside.
All right, I want to ask you about. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
right.
Carson Beck.
Let me ask you about. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Beck.
Go ahead. Carson
I was just going to ask you about Beck. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Carson Beck. I think he's same thing. He's he's in a little bit more of a pro offense where he's checking plays. He knows protections, those type of things. I think he's probably hurt himself this year a little bit because he hasn't been as consistent as he was the year before. Now, he lost some weapons. He lost some wide receivers and tight ends that were really good, but he really hasn't played, I don't think, as well as what he did last year. He's definitely a guy, though, that you'd like to see him be brought along slowly because he has the size. He runs just good enough to keep himself mobile, kind of like a Joe Burrow type guy. So I think there's a lot of upside with him.
How about Quinn Ewers?
He has really hurt himself this year. Obviously been very inconsistent. And again, he comes from a guy, Steve Sarkisian, again, phenomenal offensive coach and really good quarterback coach. So this guy knows how to develop guys. And I think Quinn Ewers has really hurt himself. A lot more turnovers, not really shown the accuracy that you need to have. So I think he has really taken a slide for sure. One of the other guys I would tell you that people don't see a lot on this end of the country, though, is the young man at Arizona, Noah Fafita. This guy's really good. Extends plays, accurate. Same thing. He's got a lot of upside to him. Those would be my top guys. And then I've got a few more guys that are definitely developmental guys, like Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Caden McNamara, a guy that's at Iowa now, I think, is a guy. But those are all guys that are going to have to be developmental guys.
Gotcha. Boy, I tell you, it is the most important position, and it's just amazing how much the NFL misses on that position. It's really remarkable.
There's a lot of things that don't translate, Patrick, from the college game to the NFL. In the NFL, a quarterback has to be able to change pass protections at the line of scrimmage. He's got to be able to sometimes change pass routes at the line of scrimmage, get you in and out of bad running plays. Those things just aren't happening in college anymore. It's amazing that now the game is just more, get in the shotgun and throw RPOs, but they're not asking quarterbacks to change plays, to change protections, all these things that become so prevalent. And then you've still got to be accurate throwing the ball, once you do all those things. So it's a big learning curve right now.
Yeah. College football playoff. In your opinion, who's the best team as we get ready to enter November?
Yeah, I think it's Oregon. I think, consistent-wise, they've been the most consistent football team. I think right behind them, talent-wise, is Texas. They had a big slip-up with Georgia where they just got manhandled. They got out-physicaled. But I think you're going to see them bounce back and play a little bit better here down the stretch of the season. But I think Oregon right now is by far the most consistent football team.
How good is Penn State?
I think you find out when they play Ohio State. They've been protected a little bit with their schedule. They always have talented teams, and they always, kind of blow people out early in the year and falter later in the year. So I think that's going to be determined by the Ohio State game. You'll find out if they're, really a pretender or if they're a contender.
Indiana is 8-0. I saw a feature last night during halftime of the Tuesday Sam Houston, I forget who they were playing, game. But it was on Curt Cignetti, and he kind of an interesting story. He was always a position coach. He was never a play caller. And he was always linked to Saban, and he wanted to be a head coach. And he's not a young guy. I mean, he was about 50 and left a job at Alabama where he's making good money to be a D2 head coach in, I think, Indiana. And then he went to Elon and did a really fine job at Elon, and then JMU, and obviously now at IU, and they're undefeated. So I thought that was kind of an interesting story. He's a little bit of a firecracker. He's a little bit of a live wire, that guy seems to be anyway. But, boy, Indiana's – they're scoring points. I mean, it's not kind of what you typically think when you think a Big Ten team.
Yeah, they're a really well-coached football team. The one thing I would say, and I really don't know anybody on the staff at Indiana, but just watching them play, I would say that Coach Cignetti has done a great job of hiring the right people because offensively and defensively, they don't make mistakes, Patrick. I mean, if you're going to beat them, you have to outplay them. And they've had a light schedule, and I get all that. But like you said, even though it's been a light schedule, they've been beating people badly. I mean, they've been scoring a lot of points on just about everybody. So they're doing everything they can. But I just kind of watch the way they play. And, they don't make mistakes, and so you can tell they're really coached and the players are buying in. And again, his first year there. So, I mean, you've got to be a great communicator. And it goes to show you that if you have good coaches with you, you can turn things around in a hurry. But it takes coaching. It's not just buying players and NIL and all that, because I doubt that Indiana has gone out and bought them a football team.
Right.
I'm sure they have enough money to get some key players. They've got a good quarterback and those type of things. But to me, what they're doing is they're developing the talent that they have and getting the most out of it.
So the big game we mentioned, Ohio State and Penn State are playing. I'm just scanning the schedule here to see if there's anything that, Air Force Army is also at noon. That's going to get overlooked by Ohio State and Penn State, but it's on CBS, so it'll get nationally distributed there. Should Army be on any kind of upset alert with Air Force coming in? I know Air Force is not quite what they've been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're playing those rival games, especially those military institutions playing each other, it's obviously a lot of honor on the line for those guys. So I think Army's definitely the better football team. They've played more consistent all year, but something to watch. But Army's a good football team, and I think Navy's a good football team. I know they lost last week to Notre Dame, but that's another really good one.
The primetime matchup that's kind of catching my eye on Saturday night, top 20, Pittsburgh and SMU. So I saw SMU last week at Duke. And they turned it over 6 times and still won. Got the win in overtime. Got athletes. They're very quick. I mean, their skill people are ACC ready, at least, by my eye. Seen them in person last week. So I think both are unbeaten in the conference. Pitt's still unbeaten overall. And I read something interesting today on what Narduzzi did about how he kind of got rid of his whole offensive staff and restructured it the way they were distributing NIL. I mean, it's really kind of fascinating. And, that's coming from a guy who probably was viewed as not really someone that was going to, just going to stick to his guns. But he made pretty radical changes, and you see where they are. So that could be an interesting game, but you can't turn it over 6 times. And beat a team like Pitt, I guess, if you're SMU. And they probably won't.
Right. No, they turn it over, they won't beat Pitt. Pat Narduzzi's an excellent defensive football coach. And I'm like you, Patrick, I'll give him all the credit in the world because he has really changed his overall philosophy to go get a more wide open offense that can score points because he's realized the game has changed. You have to score points now to win. And so for him being willing to go out and do that, saved his job. It says a lot about where they are right now. SMU, you and I talked about them when they joined the ACC, and SMU has 2 real advantages. Number one, they're in a great fertile area for recruiting. Texas high school football is unbelievable. When we were in the UFL last year, all of our teams were in Arlington, Texas. And in Arlington, Texas, every high school has an indoor practice facility. Every high school has an indoor practice facility, and it was all funded by the city of Arlington. So, I mean, we practiced in some of their facilities. I mean, they're really nice. So that tells you about high school football and what you can recruit out of Texas. And then the other advantage that SMU has is money. I mean, that school, they bought their way into the ACC, obviously. They've got NIL money. They've got all those things they need to really be, one of the top ACC programs eventually.
Doug, great to talk to you. You're the man. I can't thank you enough for this every week. You do a fabulous job breaking it all down for us. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not blowing smoke when I say we get the biggest response to your segments. So people love it.
You're too kind. I appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right, there he goes, the great Doug Martin with us here. All right, we'll be back to wrap up this edition of the Patrick Johnson Show and set the table for tomorrow. Final thoughts on a few things right after this.
It's time to switch out that old ride and save on a new Toyota. Switch out your current vehicle and get cash on the spot. Then save on a new Corolla for just $229 a month or a Highlander for only $409 a month. Switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job.
Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Get ready to switch and save at Greenville Toyota. Switch out of that old ride and save on new RAV4s, $329 a month. Or test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage. It's time to switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
All right. One of the little announcement things, my brother's taking a job with Blue Star Families. He, well, I don't know if I was supposed to announce that, but he has resigned his other job. Effective at the end of the month. I just saw that. He put that out on social media. He told his board last night. So it's a great opportunity for him, and he gets him around his family more and doing things for our nation's heroes. Remember the officiating debacle, Pilk, I guess, that occurred a couple weeks ago, Georgia and Texas?
Yeah.
The targeting suspensions for the 2 DBs upheld for Georgia, so they won't play against Florida this weekend in Jacksonville. And also saw because they're redoing the Jag Stadium, that game is going to move 1 year to Tampa. I forget the other year where they're going to play it. I saw it earlier today.
I wonder if, I haven't looked, but is it Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Maybe?
It's Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're going to play it 1 year in Atlanta and then 1 year in Tampa. That's what they're going to do. So then they may move it, more, but a couple years they won't be able to play there because the Jags they're building their $1.4 billion stadium of the future.
Have they announced where they're
there
gonna
may
play
have. I don't think they have. No, the indication would seem to be Orlando or Gainesville, and of course, I think they'll end up playing a couple more games overseas. Would be my guess.
Put them in the infield at at Daytona at the 500.
Yeah, I think that would be cool, but I think that would be maybe a one-time spectacle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It appears there may be repercussions for the crew that officiated that game on the 19th. Apparently, the crew did not work last week. The crew that worked Georgia, Texas, mishandled one particular situation, an unreviewable interference call that went against Texas and eventually reversed, resulted in a 4-minute, 50-second delay. And that's when they pelted the field with debris. And Texas got fined as a result. But the crew, they didn't say, but the crew did not work last weekend. And then the SEC's released a statement saying that they evaluate things in season now, yada, yada, yada. And they're not going to say anything. They never are about, what they're doing, and be critical of officiating crews publicly. But, and we call you the ref because you've officiated. But is it just me, or has the officiating in college football this year been as poor as it's ever been? I know we kind of say this every year, but I mean, just a lot of simple things are being mishandled. I don't know if it's because the replay. It seems like they all center around some kind of replay or adjudication of something out of replay.
The tough thing, and you're right, it does, because let's go back to that Miami-Duke game, right, where they reviewed a block in the back and missed the guy's knee being down. Now, those officials did get suspended for 2 weeks, but officiating overall is worse. And I think part of it is the way the officials are treated is causing the good ones to get out of it because the fans and the players and the coaches have no respect. And then it's causing worse officiating. And then now the fans, players, and coaches are even more mad, and they're showing less respect. Now it's just a domino effect, and we're just in a whirlwind.
It's even worse at the youth levels and
it's terrible.
High school levels. Yeah. I mean, but you can't find anybody, and they're all old, and they can't keep up with today's modern athlete. All right. Thanks to Doug Martin for being with us today. We're going to come back at you tomorrow with more, and it'll be Philip the Ref Pilkington. So McGee in the morning, he'll be dressed as Patrick Johnson for Halloween. Pilk will be dressed as the P-Man for Halloween tomorrow here on the PJ Show. I'll be back Friday. Have a great rest of your afternoon and evening.